questions that you ask yourself when you're younger. As you get older, you realize that the question is not really a valid one at all. And I'm going to address one of those today. And the question is, why not anarchy? And that's what we're going to talk about today on the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I'm your host. I'm Kurt, and today is Saturday, the 27th of November, 2021. Thank you for everybody who's here on Rumble, on the podcast, and YouTube. Welcome aboard today. And the subject, again, is why not anarchy? And I'm going to go ahead and go through my notes. I have to ask forgiveness. The heater is running because, of course, it's cool, and the other people in the place where I'm staying at the moment obviously need their warmth. So I'm going to go ahead and work through that little bit of background noise that you're going to be hearing. Let me go ahead and get through my notes. I've maintained for quite a while the terms communism and socialism are not interchangeable. You'll hear different folks talk about the difference between the two. As far as I'm able to tell, the primary difference is that socialism always and forever requires an elite class to ensure things continue to hum along swimmingly. Communism, on the other hand, is supposed to result in a condition where any real meaningful government ceases to exist. It may seem odd, but that, more or less, means the desirable end state for communism is essentially anarchy. This is why I assert, that even if you can get to the expected end state, as a rule you can't, communism will fail. Then there's the more direct route, the one where people assume anarchy is a good place to go without first employing communist intermediate stages. It truly astounds me. So many people seem unable to recognize that's even less likely to succeed than the essential anarchy talked about as the end state of communism. So the next question is, why not anarchy? The final answer is simple, but the reasons may not be quite so easy to grasp. To begin with, even if people in general were able to deal with anarchy, there will pretty much always be intemperate, unwise, wrong-headed, and wrong-hearted folks. These people will tend to take one tack as a minimum. That would be to take advantage of their neighbors. Then comes the other issue with this idea. There will be strong and weak folks in just about every gathering of humans of any size. Some of the strong will be happy with what they have and never really bother others. That's not really true. What they'll do is seek to work with others to make better situations for themselves and potentially for those others as well. That said, far too many will use superior power to take over where a power vacuum has been created. They'll move in and, likely as not, take full advantage of the folks who work to make their society a better place. So, in the best case, those who can take advantage of their peers will do so. In the worst case, those who can take advantage of their peers will do so. And not only will they do so, they'll take over. And often, when they do so, they'll run that society into the ground or run off all the productive people within it. If you question my statement, all you need to do is look into what's happened in past when anarchy has won the day. I very much doubt you'll ask the question in future, why not anarchy, if you do so. It's really very simple. That's the end of my notes, obviously. It's really very simple. The problem with anarchy is it assumes that nobody will ever desire to take power if they can do so when people fall into a state where there's nobody in a position of authority over that group. And that's a mistake. It's wrong. And so what will happen is just about anywhere, in fact, anywhere where anybody's tried to implement socialism or communism, what most of them have done is actually induced a state of anarchy so that there would be a power vacuum to put them in a position where they could go ahead and take over the society in question. And the end result of that has been simply that society has just changed leadership. And here's the thing. There are a lot of people out there to begin with who, if you leave them there to their own devices, they'll be hopeless unless other people either take charge or at least find ways to work with them in such a way that those people get the things that they need. They'll starve to death. They'll literally starve to death without somebody telling them what to do. This is reality. This is reality. Now, I've heard people argue for things like anarcho-capitalism, right, where they say that you should have a governmental anarchy, but the essence of the argument is that you have capitalism take over as the government. And people can say all they want that that's anarchistic in nature, but to begin with, it's not. But the truth is, even that doesn't work, because when you have people who have a vested interest in making sure that they get the best possible outcome from a capitalistic system, from a free market system, which is the more correct way to put that, they will do that, and they will not care that in the process of doing so, they're taking from other people those things that they need or desire in order to make them happy to be in that society. So the point is, even when you talk about something like anarcho-capitalism, that's really not a thing. Okay, it really doesn't work. First of all, because it ends up being capitalism as the government, and second of all, and more importantly, because what actually happens there is the people in the again, really free market. It's not capitalism. Capitalism is a bad word where it's used most of the time. Free market is a totally acceptable and appropriate thing, but what it does not do is regulate lots of times. If you have a person who's selling cars, that person really only cares that people are being killed if it's a large number of people, because he or she can still sell his or her product to those people that remain. He doesn't care whether people are being harassed. He doesn't care whether people are taking things from other people. It doesn't mean anything to him or her so much. Now, you can make the statement that those people can take a position where they actually decide that, no, you can't hurt other people or whatever it happens to be. But then what happens is you have these systems that are rather arbitrarily designed, and what happens with those systems is they actually sort of fall apart, or they at very least don't accomplish the desirable ends. That's what happens there. That's the reality. So the thing is, you not only can't have anarchy, but you have to have some form of government, and the best option that I've seen to this point in time is a elected representative republic, an entity with laws, and the laws have to be good ones, and then on top of that, you have to have an elective process that occurs periodically, and you have to be careful to make sure that process doesn't get corrupted or things really go bad. But the end result of all of this is anarchy is not if you really look at it, an acceptable thing. It's just not. You literally have to look and see that what happens in an anarchistic system is certain people take advantage of the fact that other people are weaker, and they take their things, and those people have no choice but to either live in poverty, live impoverished, or to move away from that society where it shows that the anarchy for that particular individual didn't work to begin with. So this is what you have to keep in mind. Anarchy seems like a good idea. It does. It's not. It's not a good idea. It doesn't work. So if you're trying to sell me on anarchy, and that includes on communism with an anarchistic end, you need to know right now you're going to fail. And I can tell you why you're going to fail without working too hard in the process. Okay, so this is what you need to keep in mind. This is what you need to understand. Why not anarchy? Because as a rule, what happens in the very best case is people take advantage of others and make it so that those people are either impoverished or whatever, whereas, or more importantly, it leaves a power vacuum, and that power vacuum is often filled by evil individuals. This is what you need to understand. Okay, I need to go ahead and wrap up. This is the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I'm your host, I'm Kurt. Today is Saturday, the 27th of November of 2021. That means tomorrow will be Sunday, the 28th of November of 2021. By the way, the Sabbath should be done since we're at sundown by this time. So for those of you who again, observe it. I hope you had a good Sabbath today. Thank you. Welcome. Thank you for everybody who's here on Rumble, on the podcast, and on YouTube. And keep in mind, again, that the subject for today has been Why Not Anarchy? And tomorrow we're going to talk about spent means gone. And I really kind of want to get into the broken windows economic theory, not the policing theory, but the economic one. And I want to talk about why the people who are holding with those ideas are mistaken about what they're doing. And I'm going to try and do this tomorrow. We'll see how things go. I'm going to try and travel tomorrow, and that's going to mean that I may or may not have the time to do it. Hope that you're doing well today. Hope everything is going well for you. Hope that you had a good Thanksgiving and that you got a chance, hopefully, to visit with your family and so forth. And hopefully we will see you on what I hope to be Sunday's edition of the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics.
The speaker on this edition of the Daily Summation is Kurt Schubert.
This video was recorded on Saturday, the 27th of November of 2021.
The Daily Summation is created for Kurt's Religion and Politics.
Thanks for watching this edition of the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I hope you found it entertaining or instructional, and maybe both. If you want to see more from me, you can go to blogs.kpschubert.com. That's blogs.kpschubert.com. I am on Twitter, Parler, and Minds.com. My handle on each of those is @kpschubert. That's @kpschubert. I have a Rumble and a YouTube channel. They are the Kurt's Religion and Politics channels on Rumble and YouTube. I have a Facebook page. The Facebook page is Kurt's Religion and Politics as well. I am on Patreon. If you want to support me, that's one of the better places you can do that. And you will find me at Kurt's Religion and Politics on Patreon. I have a podcast. The podcast is podcasts with an S, .kpschubert.com. That's podcasts.kpschubert.com. I think you should be able to find me with relative ease on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify as well. The best way I find to do that is to look for Kurt's Religion and Politics. You can try to use the Daily Summation. I find that it doesn't work as well as a general rule, but you can always try that. I'm glad to have you aboard today, and hopefully we will see you again tomorrow.